Good evening, lovely ladies. So, now we are here to talk about the 9 key steps to help a toddler to talk. Hope it is audible to everyone. Is it audible? We're just waiting to get a clearance in terms of an audibility of a sound. Let's see. Yes. So, my name is Rupali Ranjit. I'm a speech therapist, behavioral analyst, VCABA, and the director of Bridges Speech Center. So, I'm here to help you out to make your toddler talk through a 9 easy key steps. So, first one is let's go through an acronym: learnings. LEARNINGS. So, first is L. So L stands for language of exposure. So India is house of around 16,000 languages and 22 are the main spoken language. It often happens that we speak more than one language at home. And poor child, he gets confused. Sometimes when the script of the language is nearby similar and the tonicity of language is very similar, the child picks up that language very easily. Something like you can say Malayalam, Tamil, Gujarati, Hindi, or Hindi, Marathi. It becomes very easy. But then there is a language difference, it becomes little difficult, but still young child can pick up. But if your child is around 3 years of age and he's struggling to speak with you and communicate with you, make sure that you focus on one language at a time, considering the future aspect of that child. Example, you're planning to put your kid in schooling, so he will be definitely requiring English. So make sure that you focus on English as a language of communication. Next comes is E. So environment exposure. So instead of taking them to some flashy place where there is a light, sound, everything around, make sure that you, instead of that, try to focus and take them to places where they can, fall down, get up again. They are able to explore their environment somewhere where there is a playground, where there is a grass. Take them to beach, take them to park. That will be much better environment for them to learn. So, see, once they are going to grow up, they are not going to remember how expensive their tablet and iPad was, but they are definitely going to remember how beautiful the castle which you made with him. Okay, now let's go on to the next one. Next is A. So A is basically addition, you can say, addition of words, and in SLP terms, speech and language pathologist terms, it is an extension and expansion. Start adding newer words in their existing vocabulary. For example, your child says red, you're going to say red car. If they say red car, you're going to say it's a red car. Then you can start adding newer words that will help them to expand their communication skill level. Next alphabet we have is R. Rewards. For very few things we are inherently motivated, and most of our kids, every one of us, we work for some or the other reward. It can be very subtle one also. So for kids also it works the same way. So try to explore them, try to give the rewards can be as simple as, kiss, it can be hug, it can be pat, it can be just saying wow. So what is happening is that as a typical parent, what we do is that whenever they are doing something naughty, we try to poke them up and say, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? So the same way, instead of that, you have to make sure that to give an attention when they are doing something nice, and that praise will help them to continue to do something nice to get your praise. So that will improve their positive behavior rather than negative behaviors, because some of the kids do enjoy a negative attention from your end when you shout and keep on running behind them. So they enjoy you being running behind them. So next alphabet which we have is N. So no TV, no mobile. All these devices are good, but in a limited exposure. But it's very difficult for us to monitor the exposure for them. So As far as a child which is a 2-year-old, normally these devices are not recommended, and these devices causes some kind of a neurochemical changes in the brain. So especially if you say a dopamine is called as an happy hormone, and it causes us to hook to the device, not necessarily kids, as an adults as well. So that becomes very difficult for them to enjoy the pale environment which is there around them. So as far as possible, keep this device away, not only for dopamine purpose but also for the purpose of the melatonin is one of the crucial hormone which is required you to sleep peacefully, and that hormone gets depleted when you are exposing a child to LCD or LED devices. So make sure that this exposure is little less so that the child focuses on you more. Next alphabet which we have is I. So I is what we can say imitation. So imitation is something, I would say, a crucial cognitive skill, which cognitive, I would say, an understanding skill. So it helps the child to learn from you. All of us have learned by imitating, people in our surrounding. We learn cooking by copying somebody else. We learn driving by copying somebody else. The same thing, same skill you are wanting your child to learn. So what you will be doing is that whenever you are involving certain activities, try to involve in activities which will make them copy you. Then the next alphabet which we have is N. Kids don't always require toys and all these things, just to make them speak. The simple way of narrating what they do can work wonders. Like example, you're taking them to bath, simply say, "Oh my God, look at the water, how is it? It's very hot, let's add little cold water. Look at your toes, they are so dirty, let's clean them. So now it's time to dry you up. And look at this, it's wet." So you're teaching verbs, you're teaching nouns, you're teaching adjective with a simple, bathing activity. So narrate, so that will help them to learn newer words. Next alphabet which we have is called G, generalize. So the skill which the child you have taught them, you have, in a very specific environment, you have taught them to do certain aspects. Make sure that you try to transfer it to a different environment so that the child becomes independent and he doesn't require your help. So if you have taught this bathing activity, transfer it to non-heat cooking activity where you are using similar words so that the child understands where other places I can use that word. Similarly, you can do it across people, across places. That helps them to understand how to explore their environment verbally. Last and most important one is a social exposure. Try to take them to places where they can see people around. See, when we were young, we were not taught, say this is pencil, pencil. They are actually learning through understanding what is happening around them. So just listening to what is happening around them helps them to understand and correlate their experiences. So social places like, take them to nursery, take them to place where you are going for a play party or play dates. That will help them the most. So as an SLP, we get a lot of questions from the parents, and they do ask, just because we were when we were young, we were speaking late, is it okay? So before we go on to the next step, I would like to inform the steps which I have informed you are basically for typically developing kids. It can be modified according to your child's requirement and level of difficulty. If the child is having certain learning difficulties, make sure that you modify and customize according to their need. So we were on the topic that whether it is okay to have a language delay. So yes, there is a slight genetic factor can be involved, but there are other factors also can lead for child to have a language delay. It can be stimulation factor, it can be environmental factor, it can be sensory issues, what we can say. But is it okay? Just because you were delayed, they should be delayed. You need to, most of you will definitely agree with me, the kind of level of understanding which they have is far more better than what we were when we were young. Currently we have. So when we were, young, you cannot compare that standardized, 25 years before what expectation we had with the kids who are developing now. their expectation, the advancement is so high, they need to deal with the current environment. So don't wait. One is this reason. Second reason is your brain is at the early stages, is the stage of plasticity till age 5. 95% of the brain gets formed reformed during this early 1 to 5 years of age. So make sure that this 5 years of a plasticity stage has been nicely utilized for their development, so that once they grow up, they require least minimum help from anybody, and you become more peaceful and the child becomes more independent. And most crucial one is the CDC guidelines. It says around 1 out of 6 kids are currently suffering from some sort of a developmental delays. It can be physical delay, it can be speech delay, it can be language delay, it can be behavioral delay. So 1 out of 6. And the current CDC guidelines said 1 out of 36 kids are getting identified with autism. So please don't wait. If you are, little bit doubt is there, things are not going fine, take a professional help. You don't have to go for the intervention. Take an advice. If things are not going in the right direction at early stages, if you take steps right, it will help you to understand like how you can help them out, and the kind of results which you will get much faster, and the amount of efforts will require less. Now one is this. Now just like me, we have an occupational therapist, Miss Monica Bhatt, who will be doing a next session which is on motor skill development and how you can help the child out for the sensory requirements. So stay tuned for the next week. So she will guide you regarding that. And I know many of you have tons of questions that you want me to answer to. Just to protect your privacy, we would prefer if you could direct message us at Bridges Instagram account or Bridges Speech Center's Facebook account. We will definitely answer you back. If you felt this video is really helpful and it can really help somebody you know very well, please tag your friends and share this video with them so that they can get benefit too. Thank you, wonderful ladies, for peacefully listening to it, and Miss Reema for giving me a chance to address this wonderful group. Thank you so much.